Chances are, if you're a major fan and player of Dungeons & Dragons, you've heard or have played the campaign setting known as Forgotten Realms. Since 1987, the Realms, as they're known to fans, have enthralled players with its stories of magic and the supernatural. This is also due in part to the series of novels written about Forgotten Realms by famed author R.A. Salvatore, as well as some popular RPGs like Pool of Radiance, Eye of the Beholder, the Baldur's Gate series, Icewind Dale, and Neverwinter Nights. Developer Stormfront Studios, the guys who worked on the Two Towers and Eragon, decided to dip their creative toes in the Forgotten Realms pool, and the result was 2004's Forgotten Realms Demonstone. Now, I did mention in the Eragon episode that this video was bound to happen, so I figured what better way to end 2019 than to talk about the final Stormfront game on the Big Green. Well, final game that I'll cover. I mean, I know I kind of out of order, but never mind. The point is, let's see if this game truly is better than Two Towers and Eragon. I mean, that's what we want to know. Well, I want to know. But let's just get to it. Our tale begins when Rannick comes across a big battle going on between two armies of orcs. Seeing that wood elves have been captured during the fight, he decides to help them escape. It's during this escape that Rannick meets his future companions, Zai and Ilias. During an attack by a dragon, the three heroes are driven into a cave nearby to the Gemspark Mines, where they may have accidentally released two evil warlords from the Demon Stone that imprisoned them. Knowing that these two must be returned to a new Demon Stone before their hatred of each other can destroy the realms, the three set out to right their wrong and defeat the dastardly duo. I have to say that the story for Demon Stone is pretty good and fits in well with the Forgotten Realms setting. As well it should, seeing as R.A. Salvatore wrote the script for the game. Granted, you're not going to get the amount of dialogue and exposition in a game that you would in a novel or two, but for what it is, I enjoyed it. Now, even though the story may be a little bit run-of-the-mill, the interaction between the three characters is the real selling point, even if their meeting is a bit slapdash. You actually start to care about these characters and their journey in the short time you have with them, and that's a strength Stormfront had here as opposed to the Two Towers and Eragon. And that's because they had freedom from the IP. Yeah, Forgotten Realms is a part of the D&D IP, but the world within gave them more freedom to develop a decent story with great characters, instead of just going through the motions of a movie tie-in. Plus, this game is pretty faithful to the source material, which is always a great bonus.
Ilias, the wizard called you a Knight of Silvery Moon.
A joke of fate. I was born a sorcerer to a family of knights. I was never one of them. When I could, I left and sought instruction from Kelvin.
As with those two games I mentioned, the gameplay of Demonstone is familiar to a T, being a hack-and-slash action RPG where you progress through 10 stages to achieve your goal. Being a single-player affair like the other games, you play solo as the three heroes, but where Two Towers had you choose a hero before the stage, and Eragon you were pretty much Eragon, Demonstone does one better by giving you the ability to switch between them on the fly, utilizing all their moves and abilities when needed. Rannick is the game's fighter, or the strength of the group, using his sword and throwing axes to kill foes, as well as a pair of ogre gauntlets that allow him to smash the ground DK style, crushing barriers and foes. Zai fills the role of rogue here, attacking with her dual daggers, throwing knives, and ability to go invisible in dark areas, granting her stealth kills. She also receives a ring that allows her to jump, a first for the Stormfront hack-and-slash games. Truthfully, it's only really used to get around obstacles, and even then it's not that great, being very tough to control due to the camera angles. Lastly, the part of Sorcerer is played by Ilias. He fights with his staff and infinite amounts of magic, as well as special beads that are essentially bombs. Now, while you control all three of them for most of the game, you'll come across some sections where you'll need to use a character's abilities on their own, which is where Zai's jump mostly comes in handy. Besides their powers, there are the usual combo attacks and special moves each character can perform when their special meter is full. But as an even more helpful gesture, you can perform a team special move if all 3 of their meters are full. Thankfully, controls are pretty much like Two Towers and Eragon, so if you've played those, you'll feel right at home, even if aiming your throwing weapons is still a bit annoying. Being a hack and slash based on a tabletop RPG, you can bet that leveling up is a big part of Demon Stone, and I gotta say, it's a lot better than Two Towers. You earn gold and XP after each stage and spend it before the next level. Only now you have both skills you can level up as well as upgrading your weapons and armor, giving you even more buffs to your team. So far, Demon Stone is truly shaping up to be a pretty good game, but there's one, demon from Stormfront's past that still haunts this game: spiked difficulty. For the most part, you'll be able to handle yourself throughout the game pretty decently, but there are some parts like the stage where you have to help the famous hero the famous guy from Forgotten Realms, protect a gate from being breached by trolls. There's also this fight where in order to hurt the boss, you have to weaken the warlocks, creating the shield against her. The only problem is that there's a portal spilling enemies constantly, and you have to kill them while trying to take out the warlocks to hit the boss, which is even harder when you're trying to collect ammo to throw at them. And I know what you're thinking, but Popka, use Ilias's magic, it's infinite. Well, yeah, you could do that. If it weren't for the second you switch to him, all enemies are now on you, ready to attack. I kid you not, I'd switched to the other two, left me the hell alone. But once I switched to Ilias, bam, all over. It's because of things like this, it just makes the game harder than it really needs to be. It's not challenging at all, it's just a very cheap tactic, especially since the majority of the end of the game is fights similar to this one, making it seem like this was done to extend gameplay, as Demon Stone is pretty short otherwise. Regardless, even with this aggravation, Demon Stone is at most a better playing game than Two Towers. Visually, Demon Stone looks pretty good, coming out close to the end of the Big Green's life cycle. The stages capture the feel of locations you'd see in a D&D game, like mines, dungeons, elven villages, hell, usual campaign stuff. While the same care was put into the character models as well, with our heroes and villains looking as if they were sketches right from the player's handbook springing to a third-dimensional life. Plus, I actually recognized a few creatures from the books, like bugbears. I do enjoy me some bugbears. On the audio side, the music is all orchestral, similar to the Two Towers and Eragon, but I think Demon Stone has the best soundtrack, being that it's original to the game and not borrowed from a film. Meanwhile, the voice acting is one of the best aspects of the presentation, with some big celebrity names taking part, such as Patrick Stewart as Kelvin.
I could disturb the gem, but somehow Gaul must have marked its walls. He found a way to reach out with his mind and draw you 3 to him.
My father was right. No good came of me.
Ilias, you're still a knight of Silvery Moon, and now you have a dire task to perform.
And the late Michael Clark Duncan as Gorl.
Good.
What?
The silver sword of death. It will help me take things so much more quickly. You 3 have turned out to be well worth my effort.
You won't think so for long.
Demon Stone is by far the best hack and slash Stormfront's made on the Big Green, which may be considered odd since Eragon came out later, but I think that was mostly due to the fact that they were focusing more on the Xbox 360 version. Besides, having no ties to a film really helped this game stand out more. Plus, with the little improvements made over Two Towers, Demon Stone is just a fun game overall. But for those who just don't have the patience to deal with the raised difficulty near the end game to make it longer, it's just damn near impossible to recommend. But if you enjoy that artificial challenge and see it out in the wild, grab it, as it definitely deserves a spot in your Big Green collection. And with Demon Stone here, we've officially covered all of Stormfront's games on the Big Green, from Bloodwake to Eragon, and I gotta say, it's been an interesting ride. Shame that their library wasn't as expansive on original Xbox, but they did make some decent hack and slash games. If you like certain spots to be more difficult than others, but I digress. As I said before, sadly their final game was the Spiderwick Chronicles, then they shut their doors, but it's a shame because I feel had they been able to stay around longer, they could have improved on their formulas and made some pretty good games, but it's the nature of the business, I'm afraid. But what I do know is that with that, this episode is wrapped, and it being the final episode of 2019, I'd love to say to you all, stay green, my friends. Thank you for watching, and have a happy, wonderful new year, and I will see you in 2020. Take care, everybody. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode and want more of me and the Big Green, then click that subscribe button and the bell to get notified when new content arrives. I want to say a special thank you to my patrons for helping not just the channel grow, but me as a creator. You have my forever thanks. If you're interested in the channel and would like to help it grow further, consider becoming a patron today. For the cost of a soda or an item on the dollar menu, you can help myself and the channel provide the best source of Big Green programming and more. Once again, all the thanks and love.